Joining us now is one of the Democrats who actually walked out of the speech tonight, Florida Democratic Congressman Maxwell Frost. We saw him leave the House chamber. He took off his jacket. You could see the T-shirt he was wearing over his dress shirt. It says, "No kings live here." Congressman Frost, really appreciate you making time to be with us tonight. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Tell us about the decision to wear that shirt and to walk out at the moment you did.
I think it's important for people to see that their leaders understand that this is not a normal moment. We're in the middle of a billionaire administrative takeover and coup of our country, where they want to cut Medicaid, cut Social Security, cut Medicare, cut all the things that we fought for and earned in order to give tax breaks to billionaires and corporations. It's not a news story for this country, but it is the most overt I think it's ever been. And so in the spirit of being a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, but also coming from organizing, decided to do a walkout with a group of members wearing a message that not only, the press could see, but that the president could see. He calls himself a king, but we're a country of no kings, especially when these kings want to do nothing for the people and take all the money and give it to themselves. That's exactly what Donald Trump wants to do.
Let me ask about that, the specificity of the message there. I mean, one of the issues that I think the country is sort of having a hard time calibrating, like getting a sense of like how big is this? How different is this from previous political confrontations we've had between people with different ideas about the way the government should run or what we should be doing with our money? I think one of the things that people just can't grasp is the king idea, right? The king idea is not just the unitary presidency, right? It's not just about consolidating power over the executive branch. The idea of a king, which is what you had on your back of your shirt, is that you've got a unitary power, that the Congress is decorative or beside the point or could be abolished and nothing would happen, that the courts are decorative. The courts are there to essentially ratify what the ruler wants to do, and that the rule of law is really just the rule of the ruler, and the law can be dressed up to occasion whatever it is he wants. Is that the scale of threat to this country that you think we are literally up against, or is this a hyperbolic charge?
It's not hyperbolic at all. And this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. It is all in Project 2025. Donald Trump is the president, but he is also the Speaker of the House, effectively. He has an entire Republican Congress that is allowing him to do whatever he wants. None of them utter a peep against what he's saying unless their town halls are stormed and either they're running out or they say, maybe I disapprove a little bit. But Donald Trump has complete control over the Republicans in Congress. And so what the founders set out to do is have a Congress and have a presidency that were co-equal branches of government, checks on one another, checks and balances. But we don't have that right now. We have one person who runs the Congress because he runs the entire majority.
One of the things that we saw in the Democratic response from Senator Slotkin was an interesting choice. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like this before. And you talk about your organizing background. She sort of raised the alarm a little bit along the lines that you were talking about tonight, and then said, as a CIA officer, which is her past, that she's seen democracies flicker out in other parts of the world. And then she gave Americans a list of things they can do to try to hold on to our democracy, talking about contacting their member of Congress, joining groups that are working to try to hold on to our democracy. She said pointedly, if there isn't a group that you feel like is in your area or among people who you know is doing the work that you think ought to be done, you need to found that group. You need to start that yourself. Very pointed organizing message from a member of Congress who's not thought of as a real radical. I wonder if if I get your reaction to that, and if you had anything to add in terms of what you think people within the sound of your voice ought to be doing right now, given the dire prospects that you see for the country.
I had a town hall about a week and a half ago when we put out the link. Within 4 hours of one email, we had over 600 RSVPs. And at this standing room only town hall, the message was clear from everybody. Two things. They wanted to learn about how serious and dire the situation is. And two, they wanted to be put to work. And as someone who comes from an organizing background, March for Our Lives and other organizations, it is a gold mine when the people contact you and say, what can I do? I come from going to people and knocking on their doors and begging them to volunteer, begging them to get involved. And now the people are saying, put us to work. We want to fight for our democracy, for our country, for Medicare, for Medicaid, for programs that help and that working people have earned. And so I think it is important to make sure people know that the United States, our democracy can break. We can lose it if we don't defend it. And fascism and authoritarians, they gain power when there is no opposition. That's part of the reason I've told people you have to make the decision. Are we the minority or are we the opposition? Because I do believe an authoritarian can take hold when it's just the minority. But when there's a strong opposition, we can fight it back and we can come back stronger than ever. And so I agree with giving people something to do. But first off, you got to explain to people how serious the situation is.
Congressman Maxwell Frost, one of a number of Democrats who did not make it through the speech tonight, left in the middle of the president's remarks. Congressman, I really appreciate you joining us tonight and being with us. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. Should mention, I gave you a list a little bit earlier on about the Democrats who we know did walk out during the speech. Other than the initial confrontation that happened basically right as President Trump started speaking, and that was Congressman Al Green, and they sort of performatively summoned the sergeant-at-arms to escort him out. Very dramatic moment there. A number of other Democrats walked out during the speech. They include Maxwell Frost, who we just spoke with, also Ayanna Pressley, Jasmine Crockett, Maxine Dexter from Maryland, Andrea Salinas from Oregon, Ilhan Omar, Pramila Jayapal, Melanie Stansbury from New Mexico, Jamie Raskin from Maryland, who we spoke with earlier this evening, Zoe Lofgren from California, who's a member of the January 6th investigation. Also, at least 2 Democratic U.S. senators left the room, Senator Chris Van Hollen and Senator Bernie Sanders.